let's play.
Corner's off.
Let's play.
Corner's off.
Hello, Frog fans. Welcome to Postgame Beers podcast. We are the Lupton Drinking Club. I am your host, Kyle Malloy, joined by my co-host, Jacob Sailors, and our producer, Crazy Ray Cartwright. As always, Postgame Beers brought to you by Hell's Half Acre Stadium Goods. Yes, we are ramping up for baseball season, but before we get there, we are in the middle of what might be one of the most exciting basketball seasons that we've experienced. And so we are pleased to be joined by the head coach of the men's squad, Coach Jamie Dixon. Coach, thanks for being here today.
Great. It's great to be a part of the program. Excited to talk to you guys.
Yeah, I'm sure you saw Coach Campbell on SportsCenter last night. So, you wanted to join us to compete with that a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's part of we got it back late last night. Our travel this year has been our three conference games have been an experience getting there and getting back. But we changed airports leaving and then where we arrived.
Did you guys fly out of Oklahoma City or?
Yeah, we had to change. We had to go to Stillwater. We couldn't get out. Fog, I think it was. And then we went to Oklahoma City. And then that meant we had to go from instead of Meacham, we had to go to Alliance. So then we had to get a shuttle to go back to Meacham and get all the guys. So it was an interesting. Pretty much normal. I think every time we've traveled up there, sometimes different. Usually we've bussed. Last year, I think it was turned into an 8-hour bus ride. So we decided to try the flying, and it was better. It was better. Let's put it that way. On the way in, they said somehow we barely got in ahead of the fog. Like we made it by about a minute. So all worked in it with a win, and no question.
Yeah, great win. And I just want to start here. So with Braden Taylor now with the Rays, how do we replace that production there at the top of the lineup?
Well, we could talk baseball. I'm a Rangers and a Pirates and a Dodgers fan. See, I can do that because I've lived in all three. So I don't know the Rays.
Pirates. Okay, that makes sense. So you grow up in California. You obviously coach at Pitt forever.
17 years, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been here. I always liked the Rangers when I was a kid.
Why?
They had a chance. They thought they were on the verge. Jeff Burrows, Buddy Bell, Al Oliver, Ferguson Jenkins. They were loaded. They were just on the verge of getting there. And so that was kind of my out of nowhere team I like. So hey, it was great to be here for a World Series last year. I went to a couple of games.
Are the Rangers the reason why you ended up playing at TCU?
Well, the reason is that no one else wanted me is really how it came about. I was I was a late bloomer. I thought you guys had me on here to talk about my Little League career. I was good. I was a baseball guy.
I was going to ask if you played baseball growing up too. So
yeah, that was my thing. And I just kept, basketball. I just kept going. The season went longer as I got a little better, and all of a sudden I'm showing up halfway through baseball season as the basketball kept getting longer and the all-stars or whatever it may be.
Right.
And but I love baseball growing up and still do. But yeah, I was a late bloomer. The people have been around here that saw me when I showed up as a freshman. They wanted to send me back home. When I got here, I was 6'1", 160, grew a couple inches in college and put on weight. So I put up good numbers in a good league out of nowhere my senior year. And then I started getting recruited. And this was the biggest place. I kind of wanted to go like a WCC. That's, I went to a Catholic high school and like in Loyola or Santa Clara, and they're kind of recruit me. But TCU was the one that was all in on me. And then they started offering. I just went, let's go. And it was Southwest Conference back in the day. It was really good. My first start, my freshman year was guarding Hakeem Olajuwon in the post, fronting him. So
lock him down.
Yeah, I won that battle. So yeah, it just kind of worked. I like to say I started the trend of California kids coming to TCU. I was the first one, and not quite true, but I use it in speeches on campus.
Your Wikipedia is a wild, wild ride. Is it true you grew 11 inches in high school? I know you said you're a late bloomer, but 11 inches in high school?
Yeah. No, I mean, that's the story. I mean, there was some articles written like I was 5'3" as a freshman. That's true. That is true. So I was on the freshman team, I was the smallest guy. Some have said I was the smallest freshman in the class, and I left as the tallest, which we weren't very tall. We weren't very good, but I was about 6'2", and I was 6'1", 6'2".
I think I was 5'10" as a freshman, and I graduated high school as a 5'10" senior.
Yeah. That's how most of the kids do it. I kind of went the other way, and I was young for my class too. I mean, I don't know why I was started earlier. So I wasn't that smart. So I don't know why I started early, but I was a little. That was part of it. I think it's late growth is in my family, but it didn't help that I showed up here 17-year-old, and socially I was about 12. But
Aren't most college freshmen?
yeah, boys at least.
That's why you utilize the transfer portal, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Coach, the Big 12 teams have already changed. They're going to change again. And I want to know, if we gave you truth serum and you pulled up the schedule from last year, is this like oh man, I can't wait for this? Or are you looking at it going, you got to be kidding me, because the conference just got better and it's going to get better again next year.
Yeah. I don't even look at, the schedule comes out. I don't even look at it. I mean, I'll look at it here more now as we go, because you won't know who you're playing twice. And so I guess that factors in. But I mean, I've been doing this. I don't recommend it, but like being in the best conference in the country every year of my career is really what I've done. Big East was the best when I was there. We switched over the ACC. We went with Syracuse, Louisville, Notre Dame, and us went to the ACC. So that became the best. Mm-hmm. And then I made the, foolish decision to come join the what was becoming the best there at the Big 12. It had a good year the year before, and it was really good the year I was coming, but I just didn't see it being sustained, to be honest with you. And we got better. So that obviously Tech got better, really Baylor. Us three all getting better is part of this, I think, growth of the league and explosion. And then, we've kind of added some teams, and, who would have thought we're in the situation we're in now. But, I can remember you guys, I don't know, being in it's a whole lot better than being in the Conference USA and West and figuring out where you're going and playing teams in the snow and baseball. So it's just good to be a part. Sure, it's a challenge. Sure, it's the best basketball conference. It's not even close. It's almost ridiculous what we got going here. But it's the best thing for the school, and challenge is good.
I wanted to ask you, when I was growing up, it was all the East Coast teams that were, the basketball powers. How did it shift from the East Coast to the Plains?
That's a good question. I mean, one of my reasons on making the move, obviously I want to come back to TCU, but in trying to justify it, I felt Texas was getting better as players, better basketball players. There's always been this history of basketball being a little bit behind down here. They had rules back when I came here that they couldn't play in summer leagues. You couldn't play in summer camps in basketball. Some had said it was based on football. They wanted the best athletes of football, and that wouldn't shock me now after being here for so many years. That I think, simply put, the migration to the South. I mean, not to be a civics professor here, but I mean the growth. People moving down here. I think the professional sports teams, the success of the Mavericks, the Spurs, the Rockets. I think it's just made Texas better basketball. So everybody recruits out here. So that doesn't mean we're going to get them all. I mean, everybody in the country does. They've gone all in. Our league has gone all in basketball. I mean, like if you just go down the list of the facilities that everybody's built. I mean, we're going to Baylor, brand new arena. Like they built, they built a brand new arena 25 years ago. They built another one now. I mean, like Texas, brand new arena. I was watching that game last night. I mean, Texas Tech, the stuff they've built there, their facilities. I mean, like they're all in basketball, and now our commissioner is all in on. He wants to. Yeah, he wants to be the best. I mean, he knows we're the best, and now he wants to publicize. He knows the challenges of the SEC and Big Ten bringing football. But let's go all in on this basketball thing. That's why you want to get Gonzaga in here and
UConn.
UConn. So there's been talks, but it's at the end of the day, we still brought in some really good basketball teams too. And he doesn't coach in the league, so he's all excited about it.
It seems
What's
like
that do for you as a coach? Knowing you have that kind of support from your commissioner.
I think he probably. It wasn't hard to figure. It's you come in, you're the new guy, and you see you got the best league in the country. Let's go do something different. You got a TV contracts coming up. I think it's. I knew him back in Brooklyn. Actually, we were just setting up a lunch, Brett. So he's a New York guy. They're basketball. It's snowing. Baseball season doesn't start till June and ends in September there. So it's football. College football is not the same thing up there in the Northeast. It's just basketball is the number one thing. College basketball is what they're known for up there. But it's this league is taking it on, and I think just Kansas dominated it for so long, and they still really have. But everybody else is gotten better, and I think that's probably what did it too. The commitment that Kansas has shown is everybody's just figured they had to catch up to some degree, or you wouldn't survive. So so a lot of things, but yeah, Brett's all in. I think, but you gotta go with what is he sees. There's more value. Some say if we separate the contracts, that would help football and basketball. But our calendar is a challenge. Our calendar, especially here at TCU. We have the longest Christmas break in the country. We got Thanksgiving break. We turn into a 2-week break. It's a challenge here. But once we get into January, once we get through the rodeo. Fort Worth, we get through everything here. Basketball becomes, and we've had great crowds. We're sold out. We're sold out. We just need to get them all there all the time. But very few schools do that.
It's good. You talk about these other schools pulling kind of closer with Kansas. It used to be a really big deal whenever you'd beat Kansas. Now you're kind of expected to compete with Kansas.
Yeah. No, we that's the mentality I want to have, and that's what we believe, and you kind of have to have that. And I think people thought I was I remember our first game we played Kansas. We should have won the game. We're at home, and it was all Kansas fans in the stands. I was like, really? That we sold out, and then there's all Kansas fans in there. I'm like, well, now we figured out the ticket brokers were buying the seats, and it took us a few years to figure that out, get that under control. I expected to. I had higher expectations probably than anybody when I got here. I know better than anybody.
I remember before you got here, we actually beat Kansas one time, and there were kids in Kansas jerseys rushing the court because they were actually TCU students, but they were Kansas basketball.
Yeah, the story is that they heard the game was close, and they came over from the fraternity house at halftime or whatever, and to fill it. It was okay. Yeah, it's different time, and certainly. We've got to, and that's what's so disappointing in the other game, because my goal has been to create the atmosphere that we have and to win every home game. And we've done that. We were doing a pretty good job until we had a horrible first half last time, which, will happen, but responded with a good win against Oklahoma State. But yeah, it's we got some challenges. We knew that, and I knew that coming here, but we got a lot of positives too, man. It's good to be in Fort Worth, great city, and it's great to be at school at TCU that's thriving and hot, and people love going here.
Yeah, talk about the fans for a second. Do you think that fans are more reactionary than maybe past seasons, past decades, where if you win, you're awesome. If you lose, you suck? Or is that more apparent just from social media and things that we're scrolling through?
I think it's different everywhere. I said that when I got here. I'm hoping to what I'm going to do is build a program that when we lose, people are going to be upset. I mean, I told our guys at halftime, after the game, I said, "Hey, man, we were so bad in that first half. We got booed at the end. We had two horrible plays at the end of the half. We got booed as we walked off the floor, and it's like, and we deserved it." I was like, "Hey, when I first got here, they didn't even care enough to boo. So we've come a long way. So that's progress."
They're already in the club grabbing their drink.
They're.
Well, we're obviously thrilled with the overall direction of the program. TCU just being even good at basketball is something I'm not sure I ever thought I would see as a student. But going forward, what do you think? What are the steps you think you need to take to advance to the next level?
Oh, I mean, there's obvious things. I mean, you see what the other places have facilities wise. We're not even close. But we got to figure it out. Nothing's going to change. So there's all kinds of things. I mean, NIL is the huge factor here now. 2 years ago, the facilities were the most important thing. Now NIL is the most important thing. So transfer rules, admission standards, transferable units. I mean, everything's changed. And as I've adapted as a coach, I mean, I had one transfer in 17 years at Pitt, and then my whole team transfers. So
that's wild.
You adapt, and you got to adapt to your situation too. Every situation's different. We're a small school. We have trouble getting kids in on transferable units. It's hurt us a lot. They're working on that, but we've gotten graduates because, to be honest with you, we have a program for graduate students that's accessible. So there's different things, but it's good to have graduates. I mean, we got every. I think we have 10 graduates on our team. It's you just adjust. I mean, it's not what I signed up to do. It's what I went into coaching. It's not when I wanted to, mentor and develop kids and have them for 5 years and see them grow each year. And it's probably not going to happen much in the future. I mean, don't see it. That's why we're honoring Kenrich and Williams will retire his jersey. And I just don't know how many 4-year guys graduate, play at the same place, and then have great NBA careers that we're going to see.
I wanted to ask you about that between balancing, high school recruiting and the transfer portal. Is it going to get to the point where you're not even recruiting high school at all and you're just recruiting from maybe smaller college programs?
No, I think it's going to circle back. I think we're going to get, like, we took 4 guys this year. We had a top 20 class. There's one more year of the COVID player, the super senior kid. So there's going to be a bunch. We'll need to get a couple this year in the spring. But I think once that gets out, what's really changed the game is these 50-year guys. Right. And, they're just they wouldn't be in college basketball, and you see these. I mean, our kid Trey Tennyson is a great example of a kid where everybody can talk about the rules and what's happening in college basketball, but you have a kid who grew up in the area from Arlington, wasn't a Division I player, didn't get recruited, went to Central Connecticut and a junior college, had the grades, but just wasn't ready. Probably looked like me as a 17-year-old freshman, and but worked at it, got better, ends up at Corpus Christi, goes to the tournament with those guys. He's their best player. And now he's playing at, his Power 5, getting an opportunity to play in his super senior year. Playing, his parents get to watch him play at every game, and his brother, and it's kind of it's really a good feel good story too in a lot of ways. I mean, I just think of somebody would always, if they got better and worked at their game, and then they'd get a chance. But in the past. That kid have to redshirt. Probably we don't give him a scholarship because it takes 2 years to play for one. So now you got a situation like that it works. So, but it's we're gonna have to adjust as the COVID players
Okay.
that fifth-year guy is no longer around. I mean, they're just the difference. That kid, fifth-year guy versus 17-year-old freshman.
Sure.
It's. I mean, baseball probably even more so. The physical growth and that comes with that.
Are the high school
No.
recruits more or less patient with this situation with the COVID players?
No, not at all. I mean,
Yeah.
it's they don't generally don't, not very understandable, and I get it. I mean, it is what it is. There's less recruitment of high school guys. Again, I think it picks up probably more so a little bit this year, more so last year. I mean, Oklahoma State was a perfect example. They've played really two freshmen. I mean, McDonald's All-American freshmen that are playing, and you just, it's too hard in this league, and they've got really good players. They've got 3-4 McDonald's All-Americans on their teams, but they're not fifth-year seniors yet, and that's the challenge. I mean, I always used to get with Cade Cunningham, was one of the best players in the NBA, and he struggled in this league as a freshman. That was 3-4 years. That was 3 years ago when fifth-year guys weren't playing. So
kind of like what was the kid from Texas, plays for the Cavs now, Jarrett? Forgot his last name.
Yeah,
Is it Jackson?
No.
Well, that was him too. Jackson Hayes was the one, and then Jarrett. He's from. It's funny, I forgot his last name too, but he's from Austin. Has had a good Jared Allen. He's had a great career. He's with buddy of mine.
Yeah, I watched him as a freshman at Texas. I'm like, man, are you sure you want to go to the draft? And now he's doing really well in the NBA, but he struggled in the Big 12. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, it's best league, physical, and now we're even older, so factor that in. It's we've seen it over and over, but bigs develop later. There's a lot of that in play too.
Coach, you talked about NIL briefly, and it seems like a lot of the quotes we get from coaches are kind of the challenges of NIL, or maybe bemoaning the fact that the sport has changed. But outside of the obvious, players are getting paid.
Yeah.
What's another positive of NIL?
I joke about it. I mean, I think I enjoy it. I mean, I don't know how I survived it, but we hadn't paid any players over the years. And I mean, look at the leagues I've been in. They've got a lot of. I mean, half my league was on probation when
There's some characters in that league.
And when I was in the Southwest Conference back in the day, we all know what happened there. So I was there for all that. You guys are too young for that.
I've seen pony excess,
but I was living it. I was living. They were all in my dorms, and they were my next door neighbors, and it was just the way it was. I mean, it was just as they said, as Pony Express. But I mean, to be honest with you, I have there were so many challenges back in the day recruiting wise, and every day you'd have a situation where somebody would say, what can we get, what are we going to do, you'd be quiet. Every day you had that question you had to deal with, and what was legal, what wasn't legal, and I mean, be honest, I mean, it was just what it was. And now it's now at least they can get something, and they're not coming to us, or their people aren't coming to us. It's through the NIL. I mean, I kind of feel like I'm on an equal playing field. Now we don't have probably I'm not going to sit here and bemoan how much everybody else has. That's the new thing now. Mm-hmm. They got more and they spent more, and
they bought their team.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, you can't. I mean, with the I'm not going to complain. I mean, I'm not going to be the coach. I mean, they're paying coaches a lot of money, myself included. The players are getting paid, and certainly not going to be that guy. I see too many guys be quotable to talk about on something on that thing. I mean, there's just too much money in this game. I mean, the basketball, they'd say basketball tournament, it's like the biggest sporting event in the world for those 3 weeks. I mean, it literally is. I've said, like, the TV is, I mean, it's $1 billion for that's just the minimum for the TV, and not all the other stuff that goes into it. I mean, it's like, thank goodness for that 1-page bracket that you can
Yeah.
fit on one thing, and you put the little lines on it, the seeds, and it's easy, and anybody can figure out and pull one out. I mean, the number of people that do a bracket, it's like it's more than people that vote for the president. I mean, like it's a national, international phenomenon.
I've been filling them out since I was probably 6 years old.
Yeah.
Like, I've been obsessed with it. I love it.
I was like, I mean, that it fits on one little sheet. You can put the whole thing. You have like a little cheat note because you got the seed next to it, so anybody can do it. You can pick your upsets and throw it here just based by the numbers. It all looks all good as on the sheet. I mean, it's the greatest invention in sports. So I mean, it is what it is. It's huge. And be honest, that's what I worry about. What's going to happen with football here is what they go that 12-team tournament. Our NCAA tournament just engulfs the whole season, or not engulfs, but it all goes back to the tournament. And I think that's what's going to happen with football. I think the 12-team thing is going to really, as we know, the bowls have become a whole different ball game now, if not even ball games really, but it's going to change things. But thankfully people are still going to bet on them, so they'll still be played.
Oh, yeah.
Even you talked about
NIL. If nobody shows up, we don't know who the quarterback will be. But.
You talked about NIL. Has that brought to the forefront where it's not like behind the scenes? You've heard the scandals with shoe companies and AAU teams. Yeah. Has it just kind of lessened that impact across the league?
I mean, yeah, we're still all figuring it out. I don't have all the answers yet, and we're all trying to figure out. But yeah, there is, but there's still agents involved, and there's still international players that are, have their international agents. So, I mean, but I think we all know that. There's I mean, generally the top 25, 50 players in the country are all getting paid something. I mean, somehow you can say it's legal, not illegal. I mean, shoe companies paying guys and the coaches not knowing that they're paying the guys. I mean, like, it is what it is. I mean, there's too much money in it. People know that, there's money out there and rightfully so. I guess people believe that they should be getting a piece of it. That's always been going on, and now we're in a situation where it has to be done. I mean, for us, a challenge. It's expected now, and it's part of the scholarship. I would say to somebody, it's like that doesn't quite understand it, and like. It's like going to, recruit Akeem Olajuwon. I mentioned his name and say, "Hey, will you walk on for us?" That's like that's the equivalent now.
If you just offered a scholarship, basically.
Offered a scholarship, in basketball, men's basketball, obviously. So, and that's true. I mean, like we have trouble if we just offer a scholarship, we won't get anybody going forward here. I don't think.
So I wanted to go back.
Kids don't look at that TCU scholarships worth about $100,000.
No, I mean that's the tragedy of it. I mean, again, I got into it. And it was my whole thing was I took great pride in at Pittsburgh. We graduated with highest APRs in the country. It was like Ivy Leagues and us, and graduating kids and kids. We had a lot of first time students, college students. First time graduates in their families. First time even going to college, and they got degrees from Pitt, and I took great pride in that, and and then getting to go play somewhere afterwards, play overseas, or play in the NBA, or but like it's hard now to play overseas, like it's changed so much that it's harder to make the NBA. Same amount of teams, right? But it's like I talked about. I try to explain. It's like I love baseball and different things, but like they ain't playing baseball in Europe. Like the whole world plays basketball, football. Right. Like one country plays football. Like the whole world plays basketball. That's how hard it is to make the it's so hard. And now they've gotten better over there. So now I look at the draft for the next year. I'm telling you, the draft looks like it's half. There's so many names I can't pronounce. It's really going international here in the future. It's so they've got players over there. Maybe they need the quick guard that they don't seem to have, but it's harder to play overseas now. They don't have the contracts, and I mean, even I played overseas and got drafted, but we had no foreign guys back in the day, and the whole world wasn't playing like it is now. I mean, it's just different. There's so my point being is this is their time to get paid to play basketball. Really, this is their best time.
Absolutely.
That's what it's becoming, simply put.
Did you ever try to recruit Luka Doncic?
Luka, no, he was a pro at 14, I think, is what he was. So
missed that boat, huh?
Well, yeah.
All right. So that's Ray, I'm glad you asked that, because now, Coach, I can ask you, if Luka played for UNT, could they win the national championship?
UNT
or just any small school? We could say Rice. We'll put them on Rice. Would Rice win the national championship?
Right now?
Yes. Right now.
He's that good. I don't know that. I don't think he could with it, but he'd be a guy that could possibly. I mean, you gotta give me the other 5, but he'd bring other guys with him. I mean, he'd figure that out. He'd use his NIL money to bring some other guys with him.
Yeah, but they would score every time down the floor, Coach.
What's that?
They would score every time down the floor.
Well, Luka's good at making 2 guard him and get the other guy open. Now, if we have 5 guys guarding him, and maybe the other guy can open. I got to know who the other guys are, but he'd probably figure out how to get some. He'd bring some other guys with him from Europe, some Croatians with him as well that could shoot it just as well as he has, but. He's amazing. He's an unbelievable player, and I mean, what he does is just. I mean, he makes the pass. His passing is just it's unbelievable. What sets up everything else? I mean,
I wish I had enough basketball knowledge to truly appreciate all the intricacies of his game. But even as a casual fan, it's fun to watch.
Well, we use a phrase, throwing a strike, like hitting the guy in the right spot, hitting him in the letters, or TCU's on the jersey. And like I tell you, that's the thing that amazes me the most. He makes passes like skip passes and behind the back passes. Like he delivers them right there in the pocket to shoot it. So it's that's what I love most about him.
We have a question in the chat from Jackson Day. He wants to know, were there any coaches or teams that were an inspiration for your offensive scheme?
I've always adapted offensively, especially and adjusted. But the list is too long. I copy everything from somebody else. Somebody asked me this question. I've been asked a lot because we lead the country in fast break points the last couple of years, and everybody's been talking about how fast we play and how we've adapted and reinvented. I felt a couple of things. Is USA basketball doing that overseas? It's a number of things why I've adapted and changed. USA basketball, coaching against those teams, the shot clocks changed. I felt it'd be to 24 by now, to be honest with you. So I was kind of anticipating that as well. It went from 35 to 30. Next step's 24, like the NBA. I go to NBA practices every fall, every spring, go to games. That's what I do in the off season. Love it. I'll visit my friends that are coaches and GMs and stuff. Recruiting, we needed something here, and be honest with you, I mean, the history has been great as far as basketball as obvious. I said, I was talking to a group the other day. I said, history basketball hadn't won a game since I played here, which tells you if that was 40 years ago or something. So basketball history has been great. I said, let's put this way. I'm in the Hall of Fame, and I wasn't that good a player. So I mean, that tells you
just takes one shot. Just takes one shot.
You had the one. You had the highlight.
There was a lot of things that went into it. You can't take charges anymore. They've tried to make it easier to score on. And recruiting. I thought it was something that was a sell. It helps. We're not going to have, don't have the biggest gym. We don't have the best practice facility. We don't have the highest NIL, we got a great campus. We got great teachers, professors. We have, our thing is community, going to class, meeting people. That doesn't work great. That's not a big sell in basketball, guys. They want to be in the gym all the time. They want to be available to do that. So, I was, we just different. And baseball, it's like I was talking to Sloss. He was talking about in his academics. We were challenged when I got here. We had a lot of issues academically as classes and adapting. And as I was talking to Sloss about it, and he goes, I don't have to weed out the guys that want to go to school have already made that decision. They could go play in the minors and not go to school, or the guys that want to come to college, they want to be students.
Interesting.
It's already done. It's already done. So it's like, it makes some sense. And now you see where basketball players have the option to maybe go play somewhere professionally, not go to college. A lot of them are doing that, so it's it all kind of makes sense. Think of it, as you see it's a whole different makeup.
You talked about the evolution of basketball and how much it's changed. Just how much has Steph Curry and those Warrior teams from 7-8 years ago really changed? I mean, even trickles down to college basketball and high school basketball.
Yeah. I mean, the 3-point shots, changed everything. I mean, and I was my first 3 years, we didn't have the 3-point shot. They added it my senior year. So it was the first year they got the shot. We added a shot clock and the 3-point shot.
Wow. You are dating yourself tonight.
Exactly. The story I use, though, is imagine my coach was Jim Killingsworth, and he'd been coaching for 45 years. I don't know exactly how he old. That was his last year. We had a whole group returning. We'd won the conference, Southwest Conference, the year before, and we had everybody coming back. And all of a sudden, they changed the rule and add a 3-point shot and the shot clock. And he's been coaching for 45 years. And that was going to be his last year of coaching. He retired after our senior year. We had a bunch of seniors and won the league, and we're a top 10 team. And it's like, imagine the 3-point shot coming in for your last year. And so I was the only one, I think, that made a 3 that year on our team. He's like, what are you doing?
That was his NIL. He's like, I'm out of here.
Yeah,
like, the game's changing too much.
Going to change his coaching at 65 and telling guys to start shooting from the perimeter. So, it's now at that point. I mean, they talk about, Rick Pitino, they shot so many threes. He was the guy. They took like 10 threes a game. Like, it wasn't even close to what we were taking, now. And like Oklahoma State averages 10 threes a game made. That's what they do. And Baylor's shooting 3 here. They really shoot it well. They're one of the best in the country. So, like, it's just it just keeps going that way. And now what's happened now is the percentages have gotten lower of makes. Because now everybody's shooting it, and so now you don't have a selective. But the analytics show that a made 3 is at a lower percentage is still better than a made 2 overall. So when you add them all up.
Hey, Coach, when was the last time you had to hold open tryouts in the middle of the season?
We have walk-ons. We're doing it beforehand, so like. Totally unique situation. The numbers thing is that's an interesting thing, because I've talked about this prior to this happening to our women and with their numbers, and I've talked because we have 2 kids redshirting, and we tried to redshirt this year, and football's adjusted. They've given them, now they can play 4 games and they can play in the bowl, and it's one of the things we fought for. Like, we should be able to have our guys. Because we were down to 7 a couple games ago, and we played 3 games with 7 guys on there, and so
if you had,
but we had walk-ons, but
okay,
but we have to have walk-ons to practice. Like, so we have to. I mean, because we only have 13 scholarships. Women have 15 scholarships. Like, there's like. We wouldn't even be able to practice most of the time. And like I said, now with NIL, you kind of have to, like, you got to pay. There's a new component to it as well. So we've always had plenty of bodies, but that doesn't mean you're going to be able to win in our league with those bodies. But we've always had to do that. I mean, I've had walk-ons that I've had to play, and since I've been here, numerous times we've had to play a walk-on, which is not good generally. It doesn't lead to winning seasons, but we generally are prepared. But women have 15 scholarships. We have 13 scholarships, and it's hard to use them all too, which is the challenge. We redshirted 2 this year, which I think are really good players. We are so old at the other spots. We were able to kind of the guys struggled with it. The 2 players, Isaiah and Jace. I think it's been really good for them. A lot of their friends, guys they grew up with, are not playing very much at other places, not as good as us. And so hopefully they're seeing the value of that 5th year, which I really tried to sell to them. I mean, think about it. Like, your first year, you're training that first year right now for what you're doing that 5th year. And we just talked about value of these 5th year guys. And, to be honest with you, guys are making money in that 5th year. So kind of roundabout. Ours is a completely different, a different deal. We prepare, we'd be honest with you, we prepare for it beforehand. I mean, we're always, even my number 1 scenes in the country at Pitt, you're always, there's an edge. And that's why I was like, there's such 13 guys. If everything's going right, like, you don't have enough guys I mean, like, there's such a fine line. I was like, the 85, well, you can have some injuries, something will happen. 13, like, you only needed 3. We had 3 guys hurt. The other, we're down to, we didn't have enough guys, but we had some walk-ons. We're always practicing with walk-ons. Well,
if times ever get too tough, just know here that Kyle is over 6 feet tall and a good room guy.
Yeah. Speaking of baseball guys that played, I saw Matt Carpenter. They're playing 5-on-5 yesterday when we walked into Stillwater.
How'd they get to Stillwater to watch you guys? They just decided to fly out for the night.
They were so we were doing shoot around. I walk in, they're playing 5-on-5 out there, and I take a quick look. I'm like, I think we got the right time. And then they get off the court when they see us come on. And then Matt comes, coach, it was Matt Carpenter. He said he was playing 5-on-5 up at Stillwater. He was up there. I was like, what are you doing here? And then I started putting it together. I saw Holiday. Yeah. And that's his guru. He was telling me, and I know the history up there with I get the names mixed up, but the head coach and his brother,
Josh,
the great player.
There's like 7 Holidays out there in baseball.
So
he just signed a new contract with the Cardinals. I wonder if their GM knew about this basketball game going on.
Yeah. Oh, I should have said that, but he always does it. He does it out here in our practice facility. They're in there shooting all the time, playing, and I just respect so much. I love his story. He was a guy that, not thought good enough coming out of high school and turned himself into a player. And he comes to all our games, sits right there. He's got the seats right in the club, and he's so yeah, it was funny to see him there. And I guess a bunch of players I didn't know, and Major League Baseball players, they go up there to hit at Holiday's hitting range or whatever they call it. Do they have a name for it or something? But
they have a real nice new player development center up there.
Yeah. That he owns, right? It's outside the university. It's like his business.
Oh, that must be something. Okay, yeah. I was thinking just on campus there, but
no, they got that's the players go to his like ranch. I guess he's got a set up there. So that's what I was told. So it was cool.
Did you sub in when you saw him out there playing?
No, I let them. Actually, I wanted to get him off, to be honest with you. So they stopped right away. They knew we were coming, so I was just caught off guard by.
Nice to have some pros up there.
See them there, and to learn a little bit about the Holidays. I don't know what his name. Hitting Ranch. Maybe I just came up with a name for it.
Hitting Ranch. I love that.
Coach, you talk about the scholarship restrictions that you have. Could you do the balancing act that Sarlos has to do every year? Now
Yeah,
that they've got 40 and only 11.7 scholarships.
Yeah. Well, I don't understand why they need 40 players. That's like we're at 13.
Can't ever have enough pitching, Coach.
Yeah.
And you know, and now we have a situation where we can't have, and it was based on football, basketball, baseball, as I was told, was managers / players or walk-ons, and I guess the schools were pushing that where they're making them calling them managers, so they had more than 40, and then so now we can't. We have kids that, you know, we sometimes we had a guy who was a manager. We needed a guy to practice. We had to turn him into a walk-on, a player. He was 5'5", I think, 5'6". Like these are things we've had to do, and now we can't. And so, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, I mean, there's all different. We can't. There's no outside scholarships for us. Like we can't get a merit scholarship. We can't. Our guys can't do that. So that's all a different equation. And every school, you know, obviously is competitive. It does the same things. It's interesting. The private schools, I guess, of what I've been told, have the merit scholarships, whereas the publics don't have them. And so those are the challenges. Talking to a friend of mine who got recruited, son got recruited by everybody, trying to figure it out. So interesting. Every sport has it. We don't. And I say with 13, I don't know that we'd want 14 and 15 because we can't keep 15 players happy. And so it's, you know, it's, and that's what women say too. You know, they have 15, but they never use the 15.
And give some to baseball.
Yeah. I mean, but I mean, like, you know, there's business expenses too now.
Especially for non-revenue sports.
Yeah, there's yeah, that's the it's a whole business as a college. There's no business like college athletics, man. There's no business like college athletics. It's everybody thinks it's making all kinds of money, and there's a lot
money to make money.
there's a lot of expenses going out.
Last question from me, Coach. So I mentioned your Wikipedia is just, I'm reading through it. I'm like, what? And then next paragraph. What? But you're a movie star, huh?
Yeah, I know. It's, you know, most guys, I mean, when you did something, you were 5 years old, are you still being held against that? Well,
are you still getting royalty checks from it?
They're called residuals. Not right.
Residuals
in our business. And it's come up because Estridge, I guess, has tracked down some of these old commercials.
I was looking for them. Don't think I wasn't.
I mean, I'd never even seen, remembered them, but he came up with a few, and so he keeps popping, sending them over to me. So, I mean, I was a cute kid that went ugly, and it was pretty much the career was over. So, but I grew up in North Hollywood. Everybody in Little League, their parents' dad worked in the business, and so I didn't think it was that abnormal. But you guys seem to make a big kick out of it, laugh out of it. So it's what I did. I got braces at like 11, 12, and I got tired of. You have to go to like. You got to go to like 3 interviews a day, you know, like to go get these commercials, and I'd rather be playing Little League. And so, but the braces pretty much made the whole decision pretty made it for me.
Disappear.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have a career after coaching of being like a Bond villain or something like that.
I have a since Estridge is, and the only reason anybody ever knew, because when I was here at TCU, nobody knew because I wasn't telling anybody. I never spoke anyway. So
you didn't pull up to campus on the first day.
And showing my commercials. No, I didn't. And the only reason was because I didn't hear about it in college. Because again, there was no VCR. I mean, like, understand, like, you know, you guys didn't even know, like, there used to not be the internet. You know that, right?
There wasn't even a 3-point line at some point.
So the only reason that people found out about it is because I did one when I was just playing after college, and I did a Bud Light one.
Yep.
And I just started coaching, and I went to Santa Barbara as a graduate assistant, and it came out, and I had no idea. I just went and showed up. They said I need a basketball player. I showed up, and I did it, and it ran literally for 2 years straight, like every basketball game. You know, the State Farm commercials you see now that you get tired of. Yeah, that was me on the Bud Light commercial, and so that's how I kind of got out in the coaching world. And from that point on, it's just they had just somehow led to finding out what I did when I was 5. So that's kind of I never told anybody.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so that's how it came out. But I have a pension. Somehow you can get a pension when you're 5 years old, working from 5 to 12, I guess. But I somehow, and then that's what I got. So I got that going for me.
So what you're saying is, since you were a frog, were you one of the old Budweiser? Was that like the?
No. I didn't even pull that. I wasn't even. I was just playing. I got dunked on by a girl, is what I did in the Bud Light commercial.
Coach, how do you like to unwind after a game, or how do you spend your off seasons?
Oh, there is no unwind during the season. I mean, I watched film all night last night and film today at Baylor. And
you didn't sleep in?
I wouldn't do this, to be honest with you, except I wanted to talk baseball. But
we'll have to redo the interview now and talk more baseball.
Yeah. One of our goals now, my son's gotten into baseball. I tried to get him to play Little League and stuff, and he never was into it. But now he's all into baseball. He loves Chuck. He has film courses over there. So our goal now is to get all the baseball stadiums.
Nice.
So I've been about 18, I think. We went to about 7 last summer. He went to about 7 or 8 last summer.
That's great.
So because his interest now more in baseball, we've been really following. Went to a lot of Ranger games last year. Good timing on that. And so I love that. Family, working out, just doing anything. I got into bikes, riding bikes. I love the ocean, so go out when I visit my family, go to the ocean. That's my thing, and that's about it. Film, movies. My son's a film major at TCU, so
nice.
Show him your old commercials.
Yeah, he could care less.
Yeah, I'm sure. Hey, Coach Dixon, you've got a ton of ranked games, coming up ahead. But every game in the Big 12 is like a ranked team. So really appreciate your time chatting with us, messing around on the podcast. And we're going to let you get back to scouting for Baylor. That's the next game coming up. So really appreciate your time today. And as always, go Frogs.
I'll see you at Lupton this spring.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
All
right.
right.
Get you back on.
Take care. Bye-bye.
End stream.
Yep. We'll have to get you